It is my absolute pleasure to be joined by one of the dopest actors of his generation, one of the dopest actors doing it today. He is the star of the new movie Shooting Stars on Peacock. It is the adaptation of LeBron James and Buzz Bissinger's book about LeBron's childhood friends and high school teammates at St. Vincent St. Mary's. Wood plays St. Vincent St. Mary's coach Drew Joyce. Kind enough to join us now. Bro, we're going to have some fun. But let's start with the present before we go back in time a little bit. The role of Coach Drew Joyce. How did you land this role? Or better yet, let me rephrase that. How did this project land Wood Harris? How did they get you to play Coach Drew Joyce?
Man, it was a bit of a no-brainer. You know, I reunited with Chris Robinson. We did the New Edition thing together, and people loved that. I know his directing style. I knew it was going to be like an epically done project. Plus, Caleb was in the New Edition joint. So was Algie. So for me, it was a no-brainer. Plus, LeBron James. Let's not forget, it's about LeBron James, and I'm a fan of LeBron James. So yeah.
No, that's awesome. I saw what you said that you're extra proud of this project. Why?
Well, because, you know, number one, I feel like we accomplished something pretty big with it. We're telling the story, like the origin story of LeBron James, and I'm proud of it mainly because the young talent on it are so good, man. They make me feel good in a nostalgic kind of way. And when I look at them, I go, oh wow, I remember being like them, you know. So it feels really good to be around that kind of energy. And, you know, I'm very proud of it. Now I've seen it, man, it's just amazing. It literally is amazing, you know. So I can't wait for people to engage with it.
Yeah, I've seen it as well. You want to talk about feeling good and energy and nostalgia. Y'all had a brother singing along to Zoom by the Commodores. There's a theme there, and that's my joint right there. Like that, I told my wife, make sure somebody perform that song at my funeral. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate that very much.
Great song.
Yeah, and we're gonna definitely get into music with you as well because you're a musician, an accomplished musician yourself. But I want to stay on LeBron though for a second. You said you're a fan of LeBron, and this is about LeBron's origin story. What are your thoughts on LeBron's future with the Lakers, without the Lakers, maybe a future NBA without LeBron? He's talked about retiring potentially, maybe playing with his son Bronny. What do you think about LeBron's future?
You know, something in me would like him to move on from basketball, even though he's so talented and so capable. Like, I still want him to kind of retire in a sense. I mean, I don't know if I want him retired this year, but what you gonna do, play 25 years? Like, you gotta start, 25 years? No one's ever even done that. Like,
no.
Actually, has anyone played 22 years or 20? I don't even know if anybody's ever played more than 20 years in the NBA. So, to me, that's not a record I want him to break. I would like to see him just kind of retire, even though I would greatly miss his sports, his basketball playing. But like this last go around in the series against Denver, at the final game, I thought to myself, I kind of want to see this guy retire, because I want him to leave his legacy like the way it is. And I don't know, there's nowhere but down, I feel like,
Go out while he's still on top, basically. Why he still
like
got his A game.
The jump shot, called it a wrap. I would love for LeBron to like be able to call it a wrap differently, not get swept, not get, hurt and have to quit, So that said, I still want, what would he do? He would produce film, television. He's a worldly person. He'd become the mayor of Cleveland if he wanted to, or a congressman or president. He can do a lot of things. So it would be whatever he wanted to do.
By the way, Vince Carter played 22 years.
Now is that the longest
there's that trivia.
career?
Yeah, there's that bit of trivia right there. Vince Carter, 22 years.
That's a long time. Like, that's a long time, bro. And Vince Carter, 22. What are you gonna do? 23 years? No.
Definitely don't want to see him declining. You know what I mean? He's still a top 12, 15 guy.
Yeah.
That might be being
Yeah.
conservative. You know what I mean? So, yeah, definitely
No,
don't
I
want to see
think
him
he's in the
declining.
top 10. He might be in
Yeah.
the top 10, but I think what declines first, it won't be his body. To me, what I saw declining was kind of like decision making, you know? Like I felt like with 4 seconds left, you don't get a ball to Dennis Schroeder.
Right.
You just under no
Right.
circumstance.
Yeah.
Like picture
No,
Michael
but
Jordan.
but that's always been him, though, Wood. You know that. LeBron has always been programmed to make what he thinks is the right basketball play. Kobe, Jordan,
And I
them
think
dudes gonna shoot. They going down shooting, you know?
but that's the reason why people argue for Michael Jordan. Because Michael Jordan would have won that game. He would have scored, and the whole world would have known he was going to score. So to me, and then listen, he passed the ball with 4 seconds left. Dennis Schroeder passed it again. What the hell are y'all doing? You got 4 seconds,
Well,
you know.
But in fairness, let me ask you this.
All right.
No, I don't disagree with you. But regardless, was there any beating Denver? Like you know hoops, you know basketball. Like Denver was just a better team. Did the Lakers have a chance of beating Denver in the series?
Oh, did they have a chance? Yeah. But what happened was just they never. Well, I'm a believer. I thought they had a chance, even when they were down a couple games, because the first couple of games were kind of close. So I felt like with close games, I think Anthony Davis would be more consistent. You know, It's hard to make a decision about the Lakers, how you feel, because there's so many inconsistencies on the team. You know, Anthony Davis, they showed a graph where he had like 31 points and 14 and 31 and 12 and 31 and 14 again. What is this, a roller coaster, dog? Like, I couldn't deal with that much inconsistency. And even LeBron was inconsistent in terms of the typical LeBron. I mean, he still gets points. He's still a juggernaut on the court. But to me, his decision-making is inconsistent. Like some of those passes, those like thread the needle, bro, I don't want to see now more. I don't want to see now one more thread the needle pass between three people. Like, come on, man. Come on.
Yeah.
And all of the fourth quarter threes and stuff. Now you're talking to a fan. I'm a fan, you know, and I just don't like seeing them. Like, I'm frustrated watching them play. They annoy me. Even though I'm rooting for them, they annoy me.
Right. So no wonder you nailed Drew Joyce so well, because you're a coach at heart. You know what I'm saying? Have you had a chance to express these frustrations directly to LeBron? I wonder.
No, I would never say that, because it's like for what? There's nothing I can get out of that. It's just my feeling, you know. And passing the ball to Dennis Schroeder with 4 seconds left, so he can pass it again, is not. You said, you know, he thinks that's not the smartest play, because that's Dennis Schroeder, who is a great basketball player. I'm not saying he ain't a great basketball player, but you're LeBron James. Look, you got to put into perspective everything. Jokic had 5 fouls, bro. And LeBron had the ball with 8 seconds left. He dribbled 4 seconds away. Come on, man. I can't even talk about it. I can't. It's just. And then he passed the ball. And then, listen, then they got the ball back. And then he went to the basket. Hey, listen, bro. Come on, man.
All I know is that team was 2-10, had no identity. They were lost. To be in the Western Conference Finals, I know what the standard of the Lakers is, what LeBron's standards is. Still an accomplishment. But I do want to get to.
I agree.
I do want to get to LeBron, the worldly person that you described. In doing Shooting Stars and in doing your research for Coach Drew Joyce and that portrayal, and just learning more about LeBron's origin story, did you learn more about LeBron than you previously did, or did you look at him differently or understand him in a different way after this Shooting Stars project than maybe you did going in?
I don't really look at him any differently. I think I have more personal stories because I'm getting them from the source. So I think I know more about him, just like more stories that he lived through with his close friends that probably nobody knows, or from Coach. But nothing that changed the way I think about him. You know, he's a pretty extraordinary person. And actually, the things they were saying were other extraordinary things. Like, him in football was he could have been a pro football player and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So
yeah, he was an all-state
and
wide receiver, I want to say.
yeah, and they gave me examples of how good he was at football, and it seemed like another big fish story,
Yeah.
like so he's just amazing. But the thing about LeBron that really gets me, and I'm inspired by, and I did get this from the movie because it put him into my thinking a lot. Was here's a guy, young, made $1 billion during his career, still making money, made $1 billion in the game, still in the game, but works out like he's not like there's not a lazy cell in his body. He's working out to achieve something he achieved already. That's very inspirational because like you want to be the best at what you do. You want to be the best. I want to be the best. And seeing someone like that who could wake up every day, been doing this shit for, excuse my language, been doing this for 20 years.
You good.
But still can get up like,
good.
I'm good, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Been doing it for 20 years and still gets up like ready for the game. And I feel like some of that is waning away too. Like, not that he's being lazy, but I think the frustration of playing with certain players is there and it's visible.
Yeah,
and
that's probably why he said what he said after Game 4. That's probably why he said, like it gets a little exhausting after a while.
Yeah, like, and I don't think Anthony Davis is away from that feeling for him. Like, that might be the most inconsistent superstar he ever worked with. Like, it makes me upset, man. It does. It gets me going. It does. It gets me going.
Well, that leads me right where I want. Actually, one more thing on Shooting Stars before we get back into basketball in general is I know how you're such an incredible character actor. You've talked at length about the real life people you portrayed throughout your career. We definitely gonna get into those characters. How did Coach Drew Joyce receive your portrayal of him? What did he think of how you played him?
Oh, I think he was pleased at my performance of him. That's the danger of doing like biography work. I'm in Winning Time, the HBO series I'm portrayed, Spencer Haywood, and and if you can remember that. Thank you, bro. You can remember Jerry West and I think even Magic Johnson. They were like not pleased.
Yeah.
So I understand that because you're depicting somebody for a few minutes, and you're all wrong about it. You could be all wrong about it. So I just come into it not wanting to do a disservice to this real life person who was someone I didn't know prior to doing the role. So I'm sensitive about real life people who I portray because I've done probably more of that than most actors. More real life people from Jimi Hendrix to even Avon Barksdale's a real person. And
right.
It's easier to name
AKA Ace.
AZ. They're all real people. Julius from Remember the Titans. So I'm very experienced about, and I knew all the people. I know AZ. Julius has died during COVID, but I knew Julius, and I know Jimi Hendrix's family, and now I know Coach Drew. It's just you just don't want to do a terrible disservice to somebody that's alive. So I'm pleased to say he was cool with my depiction of him.
That word, every interview I've seen you do, every interview I've read from you, you use that word a lot when it comes to portraying real people, and that's disservice. You never want to do a disservice. So where did that mindset come from, and what is your process to make certain that you don't do a disservice to that real individual?
Well, I think the mindset comes from just my personality. I'm sensitive to the people because I wouldn't want somebody to portray me and totally inaccurately and make me look like something I'm not. So it doesn't come from anywhere specific other than my personality, but my approach to it is crafted because I've had so many opportunities. So I look at each character that's a real person very differently, and I approach them differently. With Coach Drew, I got right into looking at him in interviews, and I really want to see what our biggest differences are. Mostly that when you're doing some real life person, I want to see how different he is to me, and then just really focus on those differences so I can authentically portray that.
So let's talk basketball, man. Grew up in Chicago. which I know Chicago people hate when people call New York the Mecca of basketball. But you grew up in Chicago.
Yeah, this ain't true.
Went to St. Joseph High School, where Isaiah Thomas, Zeke went to school. You followed him there. But basketball, like, not only have you either acted in basketball movies, basketball has been a constant theme in a lot of your movies, sports in general. I mean, you know, if you want a good sports movie, call Wood Harris. But the thing I wanted to really hone in with you on when it comes to basketball is how it seems to permeate your acting approach and mentality. And here's what I mean by that. You welcome competition. You're very secure. You seem to be an incredible teammate on set and with castmates and whatnot. And you're always pushing yourself. I guess I just wonder, how has basketball shaped both the person and the actor that is Wood Harris, if I could form that into a question?
I think that's what you're saying is pretty accurate, and I never really thought about it. But I think when you come from an athletic background and you engage with things, you keep those ingredients. Like, I'm competitive. But you know, it is a team thing, so it's not about me. You know, so I don't want to be narcissistic and let my ego take over my performance or my engagement with other people. I love what I'm doing, and I love basketball. I love sports. I've always loved sports, so I don't know what life would be like without sports. I think that when people have some team athleticism in their past, it makes them a good role player in life in different ways. But let's say you're dealing with people who never, like, you can always tell when a person never really touched the ball before, never touched a basketball, never touched a baseball, football, didn't box, or had no sports background. You can always tell. And even with women, you can tell there's a difference between a woman that was an athlete and one that wasn't, right?
Yeah.
And you can see the competitive nature of athletes. So, you know, I'm very, 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 very connected to that. My older brother, he really keeps me that way because we're like sibling rivals, and we stay athletically, you know, talking about each other as though we was in the league. You know what I mean? Like, right. So
now you talking about Steve?
Yeah, me and Steve, we go at it a lot, like just ripping each other, you know, playfully, but we're very serious about competing, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm competitive as though it was a sport, even though acting is not a sport. But if it was a sport, I like to believe I would be, you know, a triple-double guy.
Expound on that. Expound on that. Why would you be averaging a triple-double?
Well, just saying that, you know, in acting, I feel like I can do it all, you know. And so, you know, play defense and just be a team player, a listener. You know, I'm not trying to take over the screen and trying to outshine people or do anything stupid like that. And so triple-double, to me, those people, Jokic and even and Westbrook and cats who just constantly do that, you know for a fact that they're doing a lot, okay? Mm-hmm. Even if they lose the game. So I feel that way. I feel like, you know, acting is so subjective. It's an opinion to like me, you know, but getting 40 points is not opinionated. It's a score. You know, someone kept the score, you know, and now there might be some inaccuracy, but we still believe the score, you know. So, you know, somebody can go get an Oscar or Emmy or one of those things, and I might look at them like, yo, that was whack. Yeah. You know, with sports, you know, it's less
final score.
It's less that.
You got the
right. There's a final score.
Yeah. You win and
sports
lose.
is theater too. It's live. Sports is live. It's theater. It's anything could happen, right? So, yeah. I mean, I don't know if I completely answered your question, but
of course you did. No, of course you did.
Okay.
What's interesting is I've read where I've heard you say you don't really watch movies and television. You watch sports. Well, interestingly enough. Right. I don't know if I should say this because I'll kind of do it for I don't really watch as much sports as maybe people think I do. I watch movies and television, a lot of yours. So listen,
I
man.
appreciate that.
I am not a florist, but I'm giving flowers today. I hope you're in a flower receiving mood. Okay, I hope you are, because you said it's people's opinion to like you. I think a lot of people's opinion is that they love you, and your voice is playing in my house so frequently, so you might as well be a seventh member of my household. Okay, because I'm rewatching so many of your movies. So I want to go back, and I'm gonna just go ahead and get this party started, because I was trying to decide what to wear. Like, you got the nice Kobe sweater on today. I was trying to decide what to wear today. Is this too distracting for you at all? Is this okay? Is this all right?
No, that's
I was like,
fresh,
I don't want,
my brother.
I didn't know if it was like, I didn't know if you want to look in the mirror the whole time you're talking. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't know how you felt about, seeing Motown from above the rim, looking at you the whole time. But but no, man. Like,
No, that's fresh though.
all right, good, because there's more where that came from. But let's start with above the rim.
Wow.
1994. Let's take it back to 1994. How did that role come about?
Well, that was the first film that I auditioned for. I was living with my brother. We lived in New York, and I was going to NYU. I was in my first year at NYU, my first semester of the first year. And my brother heard about Above the Rim because he had an agent. I didn't have an agent. My brother had an agent, and he knew it was basketball in it. So he was like, I got to get my brother this audition. He then told, of course, he told me about it, but he also told his agent, this other agency, a small agency, doesn't even exist anymore, but he told them they should rep me for this one audition. Yeah. And they represented me, and I got the role. It ended up, getting the role was not that difficult when I think back, because we had like a basketball callback. So I did the acting part. The callback was just to see if I could hoop. So when I was doing the basketball, I was dunking on everybody.
I'm telling you, no, that shootout 96, bruh. Speaking of which, just so you know, I picked that one. I also got this one right here. I got
That's
this
bomb
joint
right there.
Hey, look, check out the back. Check out the back though. Check out the back though.
Oh wow, that's fresh.
Yeah. So listen.
Where'd you get that?
You know what? I go down these rabbit holes on the internet. I will find out where I bought it. Matter of fact, I'll do you one better. At the end of this, you tell me what you like. I will send you a care package in appreciation. I got you.
Man,
let me take care of this. I got you. Let me get this.
Okay,
all right.
Okay.
So you nailed the hooping. And in fact, I have never seen more flagrant fouling than your character did in that championship game in my life. So I want to connect that to real life and say, what do you think about the way the game is played and specifically officiated? Because I'm telling you, especially in the finals and the playoffs, what happened to the playoff foul, Wood? Everything is a review. Was this flagrant? I'm like, come on. What are they supposed to do? Like, they got to protect the paint. It pisses me off. I know it gets you going, especially given how many elbows you was giving cats in above the rim.
It does. I'll be honest with you. I don't think I like today's NBA as much as I did like earlier, like the late 90s and stuff, because it's turned into like I cross half court and I shoot a three. The referee game is terrible. I agree. To me, it's made more difficult because, you should be allowed to touch the person. You got to have. So what is incidental contact? What is the degree of incidental contact, right? And now if you hit a person like in the face slightly, it's like they get the ball in 2 shots. Come on, man. Come on. So, hopefully what I do like about the NBA is I feel like they respond to the fans in a sense. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like they may correct what's wrong with the game. I do like the play-in.
Oh, you do? Yeah. Well, that's where Miami came from.
The
play-in tournament.
More basketball.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the play-in, but I don't like the level of like stop and go see the videos, man. It's just.
Yeah, a lot of reviews. One thing they're thinking about doing is reviewing or still calling technical fouls for flopping, so to try to curtail that. Listen, for the podcast audience on my main man, Michael Smith, who may not be watching on YouTube, I just showed Wood Harris a picture of his character from Above the Rim, handling his business at the end of Above the Rim. And I also showed him a Shootout 96 photo, T-shirt, I beg your pardon, with Birdie on the back. Speaking of Birdie, the late, great Tupac Shakur, what kind of actor would Tupac have been?
Today?
Or continue to be, continue to be, I should say, had he lived longer. What kind of actor would he have been? Would he have grown into?
I think Tupac would have been one of our greater actors because he had a grasp of his emotional life, and he could bottle it and put it in front of the screen. Also, he had a good sense of humor. You don't see that a lot in Tupac or even hear it that much in his music, but he had a good sense of humor. So I feel like he would have been flexible in the roles. I think the Hughes brother, I forget which one, maybe Allen, he thought that he would like be surpass Denzel. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think that Denzel didn't have the distraction of another career, right? I feel like the one thing that would have maybe not given him room to grow would have been he would have had to support his rap career as well, right? So no rapper actor makes it like that unless they give up one.
Like Will Smith. Will Smith went on from rap and just focused strictly on acting, for example. Yeah.
For like a decade or so, and then he did another joint, you know. But so I think you have to choose. Now if Tupac would have chosen, I think it would have been difficult for him to choose it. But had he chosen it just to go into acting, then that's another story. I feel like he would have had a lot of opportunities, and so a lot of roles would have went to him. So he would have grown. He would have grown to be one of the top actors. He would have been a top actor regardless. But I'm just saying that comparison with Denzel Washington might be a little premature. You know, because Denzel can go rock out on the theater. Even though Tupac did study at art school, Tupac did plays. He did A Raisin in the Sun, and I don't know, man. He probably would have been a pretty dynamic force in the acting world for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you think about what Ludacris has done, and it's not on a Denzel scale, but what Ludacris has done, what LL has done, is like Tupac was on his way. What was his energy like back in those days? Just to be around that, you know?
Yeah, it was a trip for me because I had never really been around like a rock star type energy, right? So on the set every day, Tupac had people lined up in front of his trailer and stuff. People would find his trailer, and like, so you'd be a long line of people in front of his trailer, and that don't really happen on the set. Like, in fact, that's the only time that I think I've seen that in my career where, I mean, I'm talking about a block long of people waiting for him to come out of his trailer, stuff like that. His energy though was, at that time, I will say, was pretty, like he had a lot going on. It was in Above the Rim that, you know, the rape charge that he was charged with, that he caught that charge. He got shot the first time during that. He was having differences with Biggie. He was starting to get in tune with Haitian Jack and all that. And I just think that his life was a little tumultuous. And you could feel it. You certainly could feel it. You didn't know what it was, but you could feel it, you know. That said, he still was a very, you know, he still connected with you. He still was a sharing person in terms of the acting world. He was very, very into acting. So he was just as much an actor as a rapper. At that time, he was more of a rapper. But in his heart, I'm pretty sure he considered himself just as much an actor as a rapper. I mean, he had just become a rapper, if you think about it. He did Digital Underground, then he did his first album, and then he did Juice. So he was a fresh rapper when he became a known actor.
Interesting.
Yeah. Juice was during the early part of his, you know, think about it. Tupac died at, I think, 25 years old. So he was only on the scene like 3 years.
Yeah.
He left an indelible impression in 3 years. Like,
totally did.
Yeah.
No, that's a great point.
He's one of my favorites.
One last note on Above the Rim, and it also takes me to you as the musician. Say, bro, do they make soundtracks like they used to? Because as great a movie as Above the Rim was, I remember like running to Circus City for the soundtrack. I remember bumping the soundtrack That's like a classic album. I don't know, and maybe I just don't keep up if they do soundtracks like that as much anymore. But really, I want to just get into you as a musician. I know you're a nice MC yourself. Like, what are you doing these days musically?
Musically, I'm doing some really cool things. Like, I'm working with No ID, GLC. Yeah, it's a few people out of Chicago, GLC, No ID particularly, people I have in mind. And I'm working with them, and you know, music is something I just can't stop doing. You know, it's music. I mean, I did it first. You know, when I first came out in hip hop, I opened for NWA, Two Live Crew, like Big Daddy Kane's that era. Big Daddy Kane, Queen Latifah,
You opened for them?
DOC. Yeah, I did. Diggable Planets, like a lot of groups when they came to Chicago, our marketplace, right? I was the opening act. I remember going to Big Daddy Kane after I got famous and everything. I went to Big Daddy Kane, so I was a huge fan of Big Daddy Kane. In fact,
of course,
I used to do his performance. Like he had two dances, I had two dances. He had scoop and scrap, I had action and reaction.
And you were doing smooth operator?
I was doing smooth operator. I was doing the.
I ain't mad at you.
But look, I
Sincerely yours.
His whole routine. All we knew was his routine, right? That's you know, you had Scoop on one side, Big Daddy in the middle, and Scrap on the other. I did exactly the same steps. And then when it came time to open for him, we still did the same shit, bro. We did the same shit. So we essentially did his whole routine before he came out.
All right.
No bueno.
Did it better?
No
you did
bueno.
it better than him?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right.
But we did it. We did it. Yeah.
No, that's incredible.
Yeah,
Golly, you open for all them people? You open for like my whole CD book back in the day. Golly, that's incredible.
Right.
So you say, but music is something you can't stop doing. You were saying, like it's just in you.
I'll never stop doing it, and now I'm gonna release some things, and I'm not trying to be a rap star per se, but I just feel like two things. One is, you know, can you hear the noise in my background?
No, you good. You good.
Oh, okay. Well,
no, don't worry about it. And even if we can, my son outside playing basketball next to me, so you're fine. Like it's all good. We family.
Oh, okay, perfect. With music, man, it's so difficult for me to stop. I don't even like the music today so much. I mean, here and there you like stuff, but I can't get into the drill music. And one thing that's important and that keeps me doing it is that I feel like music is one thing that this planet generates. Like scientists don't think that there's music coming from other planets because we have things that can detect frequencies, you know, of sound. And so we might be the only planet that actually makes music. And that is what orates outside this planet and keeps going and going and going and never stops. So
that's deep.
Part of me just wants to do music because I just want to put that out there. I want it to be moving off this planet and forever exuding, right? And deep. So it's difficult for me to stop, you know. I mean, I might be in the studio later tonight, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I gotta send you some music too, Mike. I'm gonna send you some stuff.
I will send you the care package. You send me your music. That's a deal. Okay, we got dog. I got so much I want to talk to you about. All right.
Let's go.
More recent. Now let's stay with the basketball thing, but let's do more recent. Let's get back to, you mentioned earlier, portraying Spencer Haywood in Winning Time. Powerful portrayal of Spencer Haywood and all his struggles with substance abuse, just the impact that his landmark Supreme Court case and subsequent decision had on him. That scene with Spencer and Kareem, where you're telling the story about the cotton picking fingers, is just like incredible. Like, what did it mean to you, though, going back to that theme of not doing a disservice and the effort you put into accurately portraying people? What did it mean to you that, in spite of all the complaints from the Jerry West of the world and the Jeannie Buss of the world about how inaccurate Winning Time was, Spencer Haywood gave his stamp of approval on your portrayal? What did that mean to you?
Oh man, that was a wonderful, wonderful thing. Now it's a double-edged sword because I wouldn't want to hear that the other actors didn't get approved of. But I do think this. I feel like I said, I didn't want to do a disservice. I stayed in communication with Spencer Haywood. I don't know if Jerry West was in communication with the actor that portrayed him. And I don't actually think that actor, who did a great job with his interpretation, I don't think that it was something Jerry West could like, because I feel like that actor magnified an angry Jerry West. And we just don't know him to be that way in the real world. Like, he seems very demure, and I can't imagine him, cursing out and throwing some shit down. It doesn't mean he wasn't that way.
Right.
But portraying him that way, see, here's the deal. I'm on the screen for the total of 60 minutes. Say that the episode is 60 minutes long. Spencer Haywood is on the screen maybe 15 minutes, right? So it's split up between all the characters, or 15 or less minutes. So for that 15 minutes, you got to be on point, because you don't have time to give a full range spectrum of the personality of the character. So you really do have to dig into what is best. So, I mean, that actor felt like the best thing was to show some controversial stuff, but he could have made choices, in my opinion, that were authentic and still had the same effect without being like angry, like tyrannical in a sense. So, and Magic had a problem too. Magic had a problem also. I don't really know what Magic's problem was, but I know Jerry West probably had a legitimate gripe.
Yeah. What would you say just to kind of like step back for a second, what would you say is the key, or has been the key, to your longevity in this business?
That's a good question, because I know a lot of actors that came in the game when I came in, or even after, that aren't around anymore. One thing is that I'm so associated with classic things, So The Wire, Remember the Titans, Even Above the Rim. Winning Time is a classic in the sense that it's associated with a classic team. So I'm in the discussion all the time, and that's one thing. Even Paid in Full is a classic. I feel like Shooting Stars will be one. The New Edition biopic is like, I'm blessed with so many things.
Bruh, your body of work.
Yeah, it's just a lot, right? So, that's one thing that keeps me there. The things I'm associated with keep getting talked about. I mean, you talk about, listen, Michael B. Jordan, myself, Michael K. before he passed, rest in peace. All of the members, or a lot of the people from The Wire, work because of The Wire, right? Also with me, I don't really, I'm a bit more reclusive, so I like to be like a mystery. And used to be having a mystique would bring people towards you, right? Nowadays with social media, you can't afford to do that as much. But my first 10 years as an actor, or even 15 years, I wasn't trying to be visible Wood Harris. So you wouldn't see me go out a lot. You wouldn't see me, dating a whole lot of stars. You wouldn't see me on every red carpet. And so you wouldn't see me in all the magazines and stuff. I was kind of modeling myself after like Prince, where I felt like we love Prince because of his music and his style and all that kind of stuff. But he was a mystery for a long time. He didn't do interviews. Remember, he spent a lot of time not doing things that kept you attracted to him. So I felt that way. Also, Sean Penn was that way early in his career, where he just didn't do a lot of interviews, and Paul Newman and everything. Back when mystique was a good thing. Now I feel like people don't have the patience for mystery. So they want to know what you're doing all the time. And I'm not the person to divulge what I'm doing all the time, but I understand that people just want more visibility with whoever they're a fan of. So I give it to them some on social media a little bit, but I'm still not a red carpet hopper. You know what I'm saying?
I know you're big into basketball. I'm pretty sure you follow all sports. You follow football, right? Are you familiar with Bryce Young, the quarterback
I
out of
am.
Alabama that the Panthers just took first overall?
Of course. Yeah.
Okay. The first episode of my main man, Michael Smith, we had Bryce Young.
Okay.
And he was a great kid. And I played a little game with him, kind of switch it up. You know, I didn't want to do the same old interviews I was doing. So I had him do his number one overall picks in different categories, like things that he would take number one overall, right? And the answer that he gave me to this specific question, as Steve Harvey once said, let me further know that this dude is going to the Hall of Fame. All right. So I asked him his number one overall pick for a movie to watch or rewatch or something like that. And I'm going to play for you what he said. Here's Bryce Young. Movie to watch or rewatch. Number one all-time movie to watch or rewatch.
Paid in Full, definitely.
I knew I loved you. Oh, we can spend all day just on that. I should have led with that.
I love the game,
what's your favorite?
man. I love the hustle.
I love the hustle. I love the hustle, man. Everybody eats. That's how you play. You
Everybody
play like
eats,
everybody
dude.
eats.
Everybody
Oh
eats.
my gosh. Oh my gosh. You are my number one quarterback.
Wow.
Dude, I don't know.
Wow.
I don't know if Bryce Young was alive when Payton Full came out. I don't know if he was.
No, that's
if
the
he
thing.
was
I
born, he
don't
was
think
just
so.
born.
Yeah, maybe he was just born. And that's why I'm kind of still here, though, you know, in such a way that I am, because, you know, cats that are 19, like, they feel like they relate to, you know, they're into me, right? So it's not just my age group. It's so much younger. And, you know, it's just like they're into the things, and you can't, you know, I can't stop that from happening. Not that I would.
Right. So look. So I mean, my thing, I got a problem, man. I buy a lot of T-shirts. I buy a lot of hoodies. You know, like graphic stuff. That's my thing. So when I was trying to decide what to wear, I was like, do I do above the rim or do I do Pay in Full? Might be my favorite hoodie. No bullshit. This might be my favorite hoodie. I've only worn it like once or twice. It's like if I was on a red carpet, this is what I would wear on a red carpet. You ready, Wood? This my joint right
I'm
here.
ready. Wow.
It's a hoodie that's got Ace staring out the window for the podcast audience. Ace staring out the window at the cleaners with Humble Hustler underneath it. This might be my favorite joint right here. This might be my favorite joint right
That's
here.
hot, bro.
You like that? I get
do.
so many compliments on that joint. I get so many
Man.
compliments on that one, man.
That's another thing that keeps me around, believe it or not. Well, not just keeps me around, but it keeps me fresh, I guess. There's so much artwork around the movies. Like Payton Full has so much stuff.
Keep talking. You recognize
Holy
that?
cow. Now, I never seen that one. What? That's fresh.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something
Listen,
interesting. That actor who portrayed that, yes.
Yeah.
His name is Kevin Carroll in real life, right? We went to school together. So we went to college together. We went to college together, bro.
No way.
That's how small the world is.
Oh, my God. Well, I said Clarence. It's Calvin. It was Calvin. I'm sorry. It was Calvin. Yeah.
Oh,
That's crazy.
It was Calvin in the movie. Yeah.
That's so crazy. Wow. I got a few more while we're on the subject. I'll show you the Paid in Full ones I got. Obviously, this is iconic right here.
I love that, man. That's crazy too, bro. Listen, you're pulling out multiple. Like I can't believe you're doing this.
It's my whole
actually.
wardrobe. This the East Coast Ballers picture from the club when they went to be stars. I just showed a picture of Calvin holding up that dope. And this one is when I saw this one, man. This is the one check that one out.
Wow.
That's Mitch and Rico sitting down at the end when Ace tells him, my body different, I'm breathing different, I'm out, you know? Like that's, because let me tell you, I'm telling you, because I watch Paid in Full. See, I'm telling you, man, I'm here to fanboy out. I'm not even gonna do it because, man, I'm telling you, you gonna get your flowers from me today if you ain't never got them before. Because I watch Paid in Full once a week at least. Like, I'll be in bed at night, my wife like, you got Paid in Full on again? I'm like, why not? You know what I'm saying? It's like, and I quote it all the time, and honestly, my mentality is I'm putting people on, streets is happy, everybody can eat. Like, that's my business mentality. That's the mentality I take into my work. Yeah.
Let me ask you something about that, Mike. So, regarding that, because a lot of people are that way, right? in terms of, you know, they can watch stuff over and over, right? And I'm like that too, to a certain extent. What is it about Paid in Full? Because people watch it over. Like, I've seen people driving down the street with Paid in Full on their car, you know? And I can't watch a movie more than a couple, 3 times, you know? But people watch movies, like, they've seen my movie like 10 times, you know? And so I'm curious, because you know
what
the
is
movie
it?
by
I know it by heart. I know it by heart.
Right, so.
I would say, you know, that's a great question. And it's a great question to ask me because I cannot relate to that. I grew up in New Orleans, but I grew up in like a middle class, lower middle class New Orleans East, right? I did not grow up in that environment, right? I do not relate to hustling. There's nothing about, other than just the Black experience in general, there's not a whole lot about that storyline that I can relate to that resonates with me personally. Having said that, though, it's such a well done movie, and it ages so well, I think, because like what's timeless and what's universal is just good writing and good performances, and it's just like little stuff, man. Like, you know, like Ace on the, and I still been trying to do this. I can't figure out how you did your arm like that. Like, come around here, man. I'm showing love today. I'm showing love. It's love day. Like, everybody can relate to just like having these hoop dreams, right? And being like, yo, don't you need to be coming to me for that, little man. I'll show you how to do your left. Like, or it's like, hey, man, it's hours. Like, you know, 10 days, no, 10 years, 10 days, we're going to have matching business. Like, I think the aspirational nature of it, whether it's Scarface, whether it's Paid in Full, or whether it's Steve Jobs, like whatever it is, like the American dream has so many different faces and descriptions and means different things to different people. The American dream to Mitch, Ace, and Rico was like, yo, we in Harlem, we getting love in Harlem. We superstars in this one little club, you know, like we on the stage. And when you on the stage, it's like, so everybody can relate to wanting to be somebody and wanting to be important. And I think that's kind of like why it's just so familiar and it's just classic. You know what I'm saying? It's not just that, just the lines, man, just the scenes, like, you know, and I said, I saw Mekhi Phifer recently and I told him the same thing, man. It's something about that movie that no matter how much you watch it, you cannot find a real flaw in it. Sometimes when you watch stuff over and over, you're like, you know what? That didn't age as well as I thought it would. This is not like that, man. It's something timeless about Paid in Full. I guess that's the best way I could answer the question.
I guess I understand, but, you know, I would say one thing about it is that Paid in Full is a true story. So because it's not fiction, and we really are trying to be authentic to the actual story, we had to leave elements of it out because some of it was too gruesome to even put in a movie. But, well, yeah, there's a scene like, for instance, when when his little brother is kidnapped in real life, he was kidnapped. Yep. And then they cut his finger off.
Right.
And put his
He only
finger,
says it. Yeah, he says they murked him.
Yeah, they just say it.
Yeah.
So, but this is what happened. They cut his finger off and put it in the McDonald's bathroom under the sink. And in real life that happened. But here's how they found the finger, right? They found it because Mitch's sister dressed up like a boy so she can go in the men's room, dressed up like a boy, went down to the McDonald's, and she had to leave because they thought that their home was being surveilled by the bad guys, right? So she dressed up in a costume as a male.
And this is Regina Hall's character? This is Regina, in the movie, this is Regina Hall's character? Mitch's sister?
Yeah.
That Ace was dating?
He had a couple sisters, though. He had 2 sisters.
Okay.
But yeah, she goes down to McDonald's, finds the finger underneath the sink, like underneath the sink to wash your hands underneath right there, and came back. And that changed everything. You know, when they found the finger, because they weren't taking it exactly all that seriously until they given that threat, and that threat was proven. So then they were trying to push away the police because they have a lot to lose. They're involved in crime, so nobody wants the police to start coming around, right? So
Right.
They were talking to the kidnappers, and the police were at bay. Once she found the finger in real life, then the police got activated. Okay, so then they killed him. Obviously, I mean, they cut his finger off of a child. So
Yeah.
they were going to do major damage to him. They
Yeah.
killed him. They cut his body up.
Oh.
They put it in several garbage bags. It was gruesome.
Damn. Yeah. You couldn't go that far.
And that's not in the movie, rightfully not in the movie, because, you know, we couldn't put that in the film. But that era in time, like you said, I'm from Chicago, and I can relate to like street people, but I was never one of them. You know what I'm saying? So
Same.
Relatability.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I would say that's
association.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I've never sold anything on the street. Not even gum, bubble gum. You know, not even lemonade.
Right.
You know, I ain't sold shit on the street. You know what I'm saying? Like, you picture me on the street selling something. Like, I ain't selling shit on the street.
to go back to that question though, it's such a classic movie. It's one of those movies that if you haven't seen it, like this is why I think Bryce Young, like maybe Bryce Young Pops put him on or whatever, but it's like if you haven't seen it, you just know you gotta see it. It's just there's such a cool factor to Paid in Full. And bro, you know how many albums, either songs or hip hop albums, the names of them are inspired by Paid in Full. Like it's such a part of the culture and the lexicon. I can't even begin to articulate how deep it goes. And we can spend all day.
Conway the Machine got some stuff dedicated.
Conway
to
the Machine,
big time.
That's exactly right. Yeah. Benny the Butcher, the whole Griselda gang, Conway the Machine, Benny the Butcher. That's who I was talking. See, you already know. Yeah. You already know what it is. I ain't telling you that. You already know.
I like them a lot. Conway, that's my
I like
dude
them too.
Right,
I like them too. They're big sports fans too. They know their sports. And you talk about like contemporary stuff. I'm with you. I don't listen to a lot of contemporary hip hop. I do Zelda. Like I like their music a lot. That whole gang. Yeah. I could spend the whole conversation on Paid in Full, but I am gonna move on. I'm gonna control myself and move on to The Wire. And I guess my question on The Wire would be, again, there literally been books. There are college classes and books written about The Wire. So we know the significance of this. Crazy, all right. How crazy is it to be associated, not just associated, but maybe the most important character in Avon Barksdale, associated with what many consider to be the gold standard, if not the greatest television show ever made?
You know, I would speak for us people from The Wire and say that we probably received that somewhat differently, because you got to remember, when The Wire came out, it wasn't as popular as The Sopranos or any of the shows on HBO. It had the lowest ratings on HBO, which still by today's standard would have been good ratings because it had about 10 million.
Like, can I be honest with you? Could I be honest with you? Because that was before like on demand. I didn't watch it as it was airing weekly. I caught up after the fact. Yeah, I caught up after the fact. Like I was like, oh, everybody talking about The Wire. Let me watch, and then I watched it once it was available, like on demand or on DVD, I think it was, and then on demand. But no, I missed it at first. I missed the boat.
Yeah, I think most people are like that. Well, not most, but lots of people. The Wire was supposed to pivot away from the Barksdale crew and all that. Like that's why the second year is the way it is, right? The Wire did not have the intention to move forward with Stringer Bell, Barksdale. The Wire is a cop show. It's supposed to be about Wendell Pierce and those guys, not Wood Harris, those guys. But what happened was, in the season that they did the second season, right? I mean, during the time that they did the second season, the fans came, fan mail to HBO pushed them into making that decision. You know what? Let's go back to the other story. We're going to bring them guys back in. Yeah. So we got very fortunate to just have so much positive fanfare that they had to reinvigorate that storyline that we started in the first place, right? Which really helped The Wire stay what it was. Now, if The Wire had gone on, you know, and became about the docks one year and then another crook another year, it'd be a whole different story. I don't think people would be as engaged.
That a lot of people don't appreciate. They don't like season 2, but they appreciate what season 2 meant to the overall story. By the way, you know, like everybody that discusses The Wire, maybe you've heard this, just to kind of go back to like what your work means to people. Everybody's got an order of seasons. You know that, right?
Oh, okay.
Like you talk about The Wire, it's like Like rank the seasons. So for me, it's 3-1. Yeah, for me, it's 3-1-4-2-5. It's almost like a code you just know, like 3-1-4-2-5. And some people, some people might have a different order of seasons, but like
I see why you say that. 3-1-4 is banging. Those kids were banging.
Yep.
Those kids were unbelievable. So I see why. Yeah, I would probably put 2 last.
Yeah, a lot of people do.
A lot of people do. Just because, and I like it, but I would put it last in that order just because I feel like it's just disconnected. That other stuff belongs together, and I feel like the docs it's its own thing. So, yeah, man, that's interesting though. 3-1. You said 3-1. 4,
I'm a 3. I go 3-1-4-2-5. But like if I go back and rewatch it again, which I try to do every so often, like I may have a different opinion. You know what I'm saying? But that's another thing that just ages so well. Like you watch it now, and it still holds up. And obviously, a lot of you guys are still working. A lot of you guys are still in the business. I would like to ask you on a kind of a sad note. Some of your memories of 2 of the castmates that we've lost from The Wire, Michael K. Williams, who you mentioned earlier, and most recently, Lance Reddick.
Oh, man, that's tough, tough. I was really close with those guys, more so with Mike. And, of course, I knew Lance well, too. But, us bad guys knew each other better than we knew the cops for the most part. And Mike, man, what a guy, He's was extremely talented. Man, he had the greatest heart you could have. He had his issues, and we from The Wire knew about his issues, unlike most people did, because we had to deal with that kind of stuff early on in his career. But man, what a loss, man! What a loss.
Yeah.
I was paralyzed by that moment, man. That was tough. And then the Lance thing bothered the shit out of me because they said it was like natural causes, but 60 ain't the natural death age. So it's like, I just didn't like that. I didn't like that maybe they were just keeping it personal, whatever happened, which is fine. If that's the case, then so be it. But
yeah,
I don't know, man. I knew Lance was fit. Lance was 6'3", built. Even though he was 60 years old, he was fit, I think, I don't know if he had high blood pressure or something. Sometimes you can have things like that, not know it, and feel fine and then like die, quickly because you just didn't know you had high blood pressure to that extent. So I don't actually know what was wrong, but man, I feel like it's 2 members of the band, It's like 2 members in our band. That's all, Well, Mike was a great guy. Both of them were great guys, yo. Great guys. Great guys. Likeable to the core. Everybody likes them. And I got a lot from Mike. Mike was open, like, so I'm more reclusive, Mike. I'm more the type like I'll rather not be in the crowd, I would rather not be seen, stuff like that. And Mike kind of got me out of my shell.
Like Ace. Like Ace. Like exactly. He trying to be out here in these streets. Yeah,
I'm not out here in the streets. But I saw a video of Mike one time. Mike was just walking through Central Park, and they had this group of people and a drummer dancing, right? And Mike, this was like a year or so before he died, and Mike went into the circle and was the most prominent person dancing in the circle, despite he was famous, despite he was very famous, and he enjoyed himself like he had anonymity. What people don't know, Mike, is people like me and you do not have full anonymity. So at the red light, when you're driving, somebody gonna say, hey, blah, 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 blah. And that can get old, or it can get like, I'm not in it for that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I like acknowledgement, but I just don't really, I like acknowledgement. I can't front, like, so, but
I'm about to say, I hope I haven't embarrassed you too much.
Not at all. I'm not embarrassed. This is a great moment right here. I love this. This is, I love this. But I mean, just like, it's every day outside though. You know what I'm saying? Like,
gotcha. Yeah.
So you just don't have anonymity. And coming into this, you don't think that way. I didn't think, okay, if I become a successful actor, I have to give up full anonymity, which is a gift to have to a certain extent. And so Mike made me feel like, don't worry about that. You know, he made me open up some, you know, because I'm like thinking that way is like being an ostrich with his head in the sand, like not realizing your whole body is out, bro. You really can't hide, you know, your body is out, like your head is in the sand, right? Or in the dirt or whatever, like an ostrich, right? But so when I saw that, I realized, you know what? You need to be free. You need to just be able to dance in the circle like everybody else. Just be able to do it despite, because I used to be that way before I was famous, right? So famousness makes me a little bit more reclusive than I probably would be.
Yeah. Couple more things on The Wire, and I'm gonna try to, you know, kind of compartmentalize my thoughts, because again, like, you know, that show means so much to the culture, popular culture, to me personally. I could ask a million questions, but I guess I would just say I look at the cast and I see yourself, Michael Kenneth Williams, Lance Reddick, you know, you mentioned Wendell Pierce, Michael B. Jordan, Idris Elba. That's just to name a few, right? Like, what does it say that was such an all-star cast? Like, you guys, because I look at it like kind of in reverse. Like, you guys have been so successful since The Wire, not because you were a part of The Wire, but The Wire was so successful because it had y'all. Like, you know what I mean? Like, all these, it's almost like that Willie Beeman line at Any Given Sunday. I was always a star. Y'all just didn't know it. Like,
right.
That was just such an incubator. Like, what was it like to be around all that talent?
Well, I'll be honest, at the time, I mean, what makes The Wire so I think palatable to people, that they can take servings of it in so much, is that it's egoless, you know. So Idris is not on the set with an ego. Wood is not there with an ego. Mike K, Michael B. Jordan, Andre Royo, Sonia Son, nobody was carrying ego, right? Sometimes when you watch a TV show, whoever the number one actor is on the show, well, that person is like, can be a diva, or, you know, can bring that energy around, right? There was never that. All we wanted to do was be the roles. All we really was doing was showing up and really digging into the work. And it don't really happen like that as much anymore. People they know that they're going to be famous, or they think they're going to be famous later, or, you know, they go after money differently than we did. Like, at that time, listen, Michael K, when he first started doing The Wire, they were paying him like a day player, which means, you know, he was making like $700 an episode or $1,000. It's not like he was making a lot of money, right? But he still understood, yo, this is a golden opportunity. And he used it to launch his career, right? And he never looked at it like as a disgruntled person at all in terms of monetarily, right? Because he knew and believed in his talent. So I feel like a lot of the cast is that way. Michael B. Jordan is like a great person. Idris Elba is a great person. Like, they're just good people in general. And like, so it's difficult to put that much talent around each other, and also talent that's not falling back on ego and things like that, and not have a certain amount of success. So The Wire also has, here's the secret ingredients. Yes, it has me and Idris and this incredible cast, but it has David Simon.
Yeah.
And David Simon is a masterful writer, right?
Yep.
Very sensitive to the subject, to Black people's subject, right? So he never was writing from like some kind of like sort of like outside of the culture. It didn't feel like somebody not within the culture was writing it didn't. Listen, a lot of when you watch The Wire, that's word for word on the script. There's not like a ton of improvisation on The Wire, right? So
that says a lot.
A lot of The Wire is word for word, right? So it shows you how good the writing was on the show. But I give a lot of credit to David Simon and the producers, and then I go down the line with the actors. And I'm close and friends with all the actors. Oh, I forgot to mention Hassan Johnson played Weebay. He's amazing. Yeah. The actors. Yeah. I can't name a bad actor on there.
No.
Every time you can't, and that's unusual.
That was a super team. It was a super team. It was the East West All Stars. You didn't think I didn't have Wire stuff too. Now this is just a couple. I only brought the ones that were directly associated with Avon Barksdale. Like, I got about a dozen Wire-related ones, T-shirts and hoodies. Got this joint, Orlando's Gentlemen's Club. Okay, got
I'm gonna need that one, bro. I'm gonna need that one.
I got you.
I can't believe you have that, bro.
But wait, there's more. This one I think you gonna really like. Okay, this one now you gotta look at it closer though. This is you and Idris in the car. This is from the poster.
I need that.
This is. I got you, bro. Let me tell you something. You so gracious with your time. I'm not only gonna give you what I got. I'm gonna go shopping for you because I know where to find all this stuff. And it's just this just a sample. What I could be if I win I got them all. I got all of them.
Serious? Oh,
I got, bro. I got a closet full of just Wood Harris stuff. And bro, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's 6 degrees. Everybody has. I was gonna say you've worked with everybody. No, everybody's worked with you, because we ain't even got to Remember the Titans, bro. You in the freaking Marvel Cinematic Universe. You was in Ant-Man. It's like everything you in, I like, and I like everything you in. Like, whether it's just so much stuff you've done, and so many people you've had a chance to work with, or have had a chance to work with you. Just since we talk about Remember the Titans, just on Remember the Titans, like Denzel, just being around Denzel Washington. What's your best Denzel Washington story from either Remember the Titans or even from Beyond, if you guys have kept in touch?
Well, I don't chat it up too much with Denzel. I love Denzel Washington. A lot, obviously. And Denzel is probably one of the bigger inspirations to me as an actor because, when I was young, Denzel was just like number one for so long. And he was also like a cool cat and he loved sports also. So I could relate a lot to Denzel Washington.
I bet he angry about the Lakers too. I think he's a Lakers fan, but I'm mistaken. I think he's a Lakers fan because he show up to a lot of Lakers games, I want to say. Yeah.
Yeah, he got to be angry about it. But I learned from him like professionality. I take from Denzel professionality. He showed up punctually. He knew everything that he needed to know. He needed to know more than everybody else and knew it all. So there was no excuse for me not to know my stuff or to be late when a star like Denzel Washington, who I'm inspired by, is not late. And he knew everything he needed to know. He was well prepared. There wasn't a whole lot of like tomfoolery on the set and stuff like that. He was just in his own zone, stayed focused on the project. And I stole a lot from his method in terms of his professional method of being on the set. Denzel's story, I think a good one is just, I put to you like this. Denzel type of cat, if he like be like just throwing his hands and just shoot, he might be hitting you kind of hard. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, my man, cool out. Cool out, bro.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna leave it at that,
Yeah,
but I love Denzel Washington.
That seemed like Denzel. That seemed like Denzel a lot. So, again, in the interest of time, trying to restrain myself. There's one other project I feel like I definitely should kind of dive deep on before I get you out of here with just a few more macro questions and a few more pearls of wisdom and some gems. The Creed franchise. That's another one that I watch all the time, like 1, 2, and 3. But I do want to hone in on 3, directed by Michael B. Jordan, and absent Sylvester Stallone, because I'll be honest with you, I loved 1 and 2 so much. I knew 3 would be good, and I was interested in it, but I was a little skeptical. I was like, wait, how are they going to do it without Sly? But Lil Duke, your character, seamlessly stepped into that Mickey or that Stallone, that corner mentor, but they didn't always see eye-to-eye role seamlessly. I was really impressed with that. So I guess I would love your thoughts on specifically how Creed 3 kind of stepped out on its own a little bit, separate from 1 and 2 in certain respects, but just that franchise and how big it is, because like to be a spinoff of the Rocky franchise, I'm not bullshitting you. I'm not blowing smoke. I've said this publicly before, and I know that it's somewhat sacrilegious, but like I prefer the Creed franchise more so than the Rocky franchise. Maybe it's because of Michael B. Jordan. Maybe it's because more people that look like me. I don't know what it is, but the story feels richer to me than the Rocky franchise, even though the Rocky franchise is very nostalgic and iconic, and there is no Creed without Rocky. But this franchise, man, it does it for me in a very rewatchable way. That wasn't really a question. I'm rambling, but you understand what I'm saying.
No, I get it. I can pull from that. I feel like with Creed, one thing about it, its association to Rocky is why it's so successful. Rocky has so much fanfare that lots of people are curious about going into Creed. So Creed 1 needed to happen and needed to be successful. Once it was successful, now you have Rocky packaged up in Creed. So when Creed 2 comes out, we still got Sly on board. Now, let me just say this. Ryan Coogler is brilliant, okay?
No
Ryan
question.
Coogler is just brilliant. His whole, before Creed 3, he had that in mind. Let's make Creed his own thing. So he did Creed 1, so Creed could be his own vehicle, right? And it happened. So now comes Creed 3 without Sly. And I like Sly. I wanted Sly to be a part of it. But I think it was more necessary for it to have its own wings and not to be anchored to anything else. You understand? So now that it has its own life completely, you don't have to have Sly in it. Now it needed to do that. It needed to step away from Rocky in a sense, so it could, it's already got the fanfare that Rocky has, enough fans from Rocky and new fans who don't know Rocky. My son didn't know who Sly Stallone was. He didn't even watch Rocky. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So they know Creed. It's like people who don't know Michael Jordan and they just know LeBron.
Yeah.
Right? Or people who know, certain rappers and they love like these rappers you can't even understand, but they don't know, Biggie, Tupac and all that. They don't know none of that stuff, right?
Yeah.
To Michael B's credit, and Ryan and everyone over there at MGM who got Creed 3 made the way they did and became the #1 movie in the world. They really knew what they were doing, man. And they knew what they were doing despite it having not been done. Now that's a lot different. Like, Ryan Coogler.
There's no blueprint for that.
There's no blueprint for it, and Ryan Coogler did it. I told Michael B. I said, Mike, you're directing yourself in an epic film. Even more so than, say, Rocky, when I think Sly directed Rocky, one of them. Maybe Rocky.
Yeah, the first
Rocky
one. Yeah.
1.
The first one.
Yeah,
he did.
To me, that's the best one. 1 and 2, and then after that, or maybe 3 too. But after that, it starts to be like Scooby and them. I'm waiting for like the Flintstones to show up. You know what I mean? Like Harlem Globetrotters and the Flintstones in the same cartoon and shit. Shit like that. But you know what I'm saying? Remember how the Globetrotters showed up on like Scooby and them and shit? Like, what the? But
you're all over the place. I think they call that jumping the shark, right? Like kind of all over the place.
Metal Lark Lemon was next to Scrappy Doo. You know what I'm saying? But so now, I would say that, and Sly was he didn't feel good about it. And the reason wasn't because of Ryan or even Creed. It was because of his relationship with the production company and the rights that he has over Rocky. So because he, having a kind of a issue with that, it made sense for him to take a stand on Creed. Hey, get out of here. You gotta go. I got a dog, man. My dog just came in.
Oh, I texted my daughter to come get mine a minute ago. So no, I told you we family. You good, man. You good buddy with me.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So that said, I got a lot of love for Sly. He's a very different kind of dude. He's very successful, and Sly did it his way. Everyone turned down Rocky. That's why he's mad about them not relinquishing some rights to it. Everyone turned Rocky down, literally. He got it made, doing it himself, and it's the biggest movie, one of the biggest movies of all times. And it was so big that Creed could happen. Okay, so I got a lot of love for that whole camp. Michael was my little younger bro. I'm always gonna have love for Mike. John Majors got in some trouble. I hope that heals. I hope that both sides heal, and if I had my way and wishes, you know, it all could just heal and be a positive thing. He did a wonderful job in Creed 3. He's a talented person. You know, there's no excuse for the things he's been accused of or allegedly that he did. But if I had my way, I would just want everything to heal, Mike. Just heal up. It doesn't mean things go back to the way it was or whatever. But if I had my way, you know, I would just try to make it amicable, heal everything, you know, make it just get it back to a positive place. That's all. And that might not happen, but you know.
But that's also just your spirit. You seem to have embraced this OG role, this mentor role. Like I mentioned, like I mentioned earlier, that basketball mentality of not being afraid of competition, but you've also like put your arms around the next generation. I've heard you speak longly before about John Majors and Michael B. Jordan, all the other. You mentioned earlier the shooting stars actors that you're working with. It feels like it kind of keeps you young or whatever, and keeps you current, which you do a good enough job by yourself. But what does it do for you to be somebody that is now kind of like in the position that Denzel was to you back in the day? Like now they all looking up to you, trying to be you when they grow up.
Right. Well, I'll give you an example. The older actors, or I would say Denzel's generation, right? They weren't necessarily the same with we actors in my age group, right? Yeah. They really looked at us more like the young lion trying to come take the pride, right? And I never felt that way. You know, despite being competitive, I realized it's every man for themselves. You know, it's tennis. You know, it's not a team sport necessarily. You go out and you win the match, you know, but winning the match is doing good work. And it doesn't mean selfish work where I'm shining more than somebody else. It just means that people love the story that was told and they can't wait for me to tell another story. That's the way I look at it, right? The older generation, again, that's above me, man, they had tricks and all kinds of shit that they would do. Like, for instance, and I'm not going to say no names, you know, but there are actors who I would be in the scene with them in popular movies and they would like cut that scene. And they would get rid of the scene to not act with you, you know, because, I mean, they worry about something I'm not really worried about. You know, I'm not worried about somebody, you know, outshining me in the scene. I feel like that's a mistake because that has nothing to do with telling the story. So some actor outshines me in a scene. I mean, I don't actually care. You know what I mean? To me, it's like, if you're telling the story the best you can tell it and portraying the role the best you can portray it, you should shine some anyway, right? And so should I if I'm doing the same thing, all right? Say me and you doing a movie, right? And you're a lead character, and I'm like, I'm subordinate to you. You're the main. The focus is you, right? Right. I'm not supposed to steal the scene, bro. Like, I'm not gonna come in trying to steal scenes from you. You understand? So older actors had tricks of the trade, knew how to do stuff that I was unaware of, and I think actors in my generation were unaware of until they experienced it. Stuff like I said, like getting rid of scenes. And I know that for a fact happened to me because the director came to me and told me, you know, point blank told me, you know, this actor got rid of this scene for this reason. And so it made me feel bad. And I realized, like, I'll never do that. It makes me embrace the young more because I'm like, I never will be that guy. I'll never do that. I'll never do that, Mike.
So a couple other things I got to hit with you before we leave. This has been more than I could have imagined. Your daughter, who I believe is also an actress, I read where your advice to her is you got to be undeniable, especially as a Black actor. You got to be undeniable. Why is and why has Wood Harris been undeniable in this business?
Man, that's such a good question. You know, I don't know, you know, part of your undeniableness has to just be within your own psychology, right? Like, I feel like I know Michael Jordan feels undeniable. Like, why does he feel that way? It's hard to say, but it's a fact that he feels undeniable with the ball in his hand. And maybe that's what it is. You know, the bravado that comes from rap, comes from sports. Even if it's not true, maybe I am deniable, but I don't feel that way, you know? So when I go out, I feel like I have the opportunity to be perfect, you know, in what I'm doing. I can be perfect in what I'm doing, you know? So it's hard to deny that. And also, when you're cast in a role, if I cast you in something, then I know you can do it. I trust you can do it, right? Trust is like you feel like you know it's going to happen. You trust it. So after I trust you can do the role, Mike, it's up to you. It's up to you to be the best you can be. Now, if you do a poor job and I'm directing you, say I'm directing you, they're not going to talk about the director. They're going to talk about Mike. They're going to say Mike was whacking that, you know, or whatever, or Mike was great at that, right? So undeniable is something in your heart. You know, I tell my daughter that because you need to go feel that way in whatever you do. You need to feel undeniable. So what makes you feel undeniable also in part is my knowledge of it. Like I have a very specific knowledge of experiences and education, plus where I come from. And I feel like that infusion of things makes me feel undeniable. And I'm so blessed to be in so many classic things that, you know, after a while, everybody starts to feel that way, you know?
It is undeniable. I want to unpack something that you said recently. You said that you felt like you were evolving into a more respected, higher talent. And I want to unpack that in this regard. Are you, at this stage of your career, personally still evolving? And or is the perception of Wood Harris evolving?
Oh, it's an and thing, yes. It's me evolving as a person and the perception because you know, it's been a long time of being viewed by me, you know, people seeing me. So that's been a slow evolution, right? And I've been blessed, like you said, to still be here doing it in over more than 2 decades. And so I'm super blessed. I don't take those things for granted. So I want to stay sharp. And I feel like you got to feel like the best is yet to come within you. That's probably one of the reasons why somebody like LeBron gets up and doesn't feel lazy. Like somehow, even though you may achieve something, when you have something in you that says, man, the best is yet to come for me, well, that's invigorating in a very youthful way, you know? So it makes me feel young and just like, man, I got to get up in the morning. I got to go do something, right? Yeah, but not to prove anything to anyone, but I just feel like there are achievements that I have, that I have to go for. And like I told my daughter, you need to be undeniable, you know, to achieve these things, you know, because you will be denied. You will be denied and you will be rejected. So if you can't deal with rejection, you know, it's difficult to be in the field of acting, you know, because you're going to be rejected. But what makes me feel undeniable is that even when I'm rejected, right, by a project that I wanted to do many years ago, nowadays, like the projects come to me, but when I would be rejected from a movie or didn't get the role, excuse me, when I'll be rejected, I would look at it like this, like, all right, so they want to paint with a different color than what I presented. I'm still the best red you ever seen. I'm still the best color you ever seen of that color. But you want to paint with another color. So go do it.
Gotcha.
Know?
Right.
Go
not a referendum on
so
you. It's not an indictment
I never
of you.
take it like that. I always take it like, well, the next best thing will be for me. And it's all, ironically, it's always been that way, you know? Like it's always been the next thing was another better thing for me. So
what was a role? Can you give me an example, like a role that you really, really wanted, you didn't get it, and then something better came along?
Well, the first time I was going to act with Denzel, it would have been in a movie called Fallen. Okay,
I remember that one. Yeah.
And the role went to Gabriel Cassius. It came down to me and Gabriel Cassius. So I had met Denzel before Remember the Titans because that process also had a callback process. So in the callback, it was just me and Denzel and the director. And I ended up not getting the role. I really, really, really wanted that role because I really wanted to work with Denzel. And about a year and a half later, I got what I think, like, people talk about Remember the Titans. They don't talk about Fallen.
That's a great point.
Right?
It's a great point.
So
not that it wasn't good,
also,
but you made something classic. Yeah.
No, it's great, but Titans is a true story that dealt with race on a big scale and sports and stuff. So it's just a bigger film, you know. So I mean, you know, that's a good example of it. What was another? Oh, like I went to school with Malcolm Lee. He's a friend of mine.
That's my guy. That's my guy.
Oh yeah, Malcolm is my guy, man. So Malcolm,
I played myself in the Best Man final chapters. Just so you know, I played myself in that. I got a little acting credit.
That's awesome, bro. I have to see that. I have to see it. But originally, I wanted to be Terrence Howard. The Terrence Howard,
Quentin,
the character he played, right?
Quentin. Yeah.
And I knew the script when it was being written, right? So because I knew Mike, he wrote that. I mean, Malcolm wrote that in school during college. Right, he started that process while in school, or either like fresh out of school. But so I was privy to the elements of the script already, and I really thought me and my brother were going to be in it. My brother was going to be the Morris Chestnut role, which he had been offered that role. It ended up going to Morris Chestnut after it was offered to my brother because he couldn't get out of doing the practice. And once they got Morris,
remind me to tell you something about the practice. Remind me to tell you about the practice, but keep going.
Okay. But anyway, I'll wrap that up. So I didn't end up doing that. But then probably a year or so later, I was doing, was it?
Do I need to pull up IMDb? This would have been 99, 2000-ish, somewhere in that range.
Oh yeah, so a couple of years later, I'm doing like Paid in Full.
Yeah.
So I just feel like I received something, even though I didn't get what I wanted. What's bigger, me and as that character or Ace?
Yeah.
To me, it's Ace. Because I don't see you showing me no T-shirts. Bring out your Best Man T-shirts. Okay then.
I don't have any. I got a lot, but I don't have any. Yeah, you're right. I got a lot of T-shirts, but no Best Man. But I got at least a dozen Paid in Full ones. We talked about the characters, the real life characters you've portrayed. Is there somebody on your list who's at the top of your list of people you still want to portray that you haven't had a chance to yet?
I would love to, if it came across me to portray somebody like Richard Pryor or someone I had to really go deep down inside where you could never envision me doing it.
Gotcha.
That's what I would want to do.
Yeah. All right.
It would be somebody like him. Yeah.
Okay. And one word, we've gone through most of your body of work. It's just time and, just because we could have hit everything and there's stories to everything. You've done so much. But if you had one word to describe your career and your body of work, what would it be?
One word, okay.
You can cheat. It could be more than one.
I'm cheating a little bit because the first word that came to mind was longevity, because as an artist, I have longevity. I don't know if I can go in on another word. I really don't. I don't really. I look at myself like I have so much to do. So much to accomplish. I feel like so. I don't lean on anything I've already done at all. I really don't. I don't even watch. Wow. Like I said, I watch sports. I've only seen some of. You've seen Paid in Full more than me. I saw Paid in Full at the premiere. Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the full movie since then, since the 90s.
Wow. And that's just you don't want to rest on your laurels. Is that what that is?
No, I know everything about it. It's not as interesting when you read the script, spent 10 weeks making it, and you've seen it one time, and you know all the people in real life, and it's not the same as I'm so associated with it that I don't have to watch it. Plus, I would feel like when you watch yourself enough, you start to feel like, am I tripping? Like I'm watching me a lot. Yeah. Like,
I never watch any. I mean, it's not obviously the same scale, but I never watch any. I hate the sound of my own voice. I don't listen to anything I do. I don't watch anything I do. I also know what I could have done better in the moment. Like I've already replayed and criticized this conversation from my end, not yours, obviously. And like what I could have, I just know it. So I don't need nobody to tell me. I don't need to watch film. I already know because I can't stand watching myself. So on that, I can relate. On that's the one level I can relate to Wood Harris on. I ain't an actor, but I get that. I just hope, man, if nothing else from this conversation, and thank you so much for being so gracious. Oh, the practice. Hold on, the practice. Just got to tell you this real quick story. Okay. So I have a production company. It's called Inflection Point Entertainment. Inflection Point Entertainment is our production company. We make movies, TV, documentaries, podcasts, the whole thing, right? My business partner, he's an entertainment lawyer. His name is Terrence Williams. He's out of LA. Terrence, when I told him I was talking to you, he was like, his brother Steve is the reason he went to law school to be a lawyer, was from watching him in the practice. So your brother and your family has impacted me in multiple ways. And if nothing else,
That's
man,
amazing.
I just hope you understand, like I'm telling you, I know I speak on behalf of a lot of people, a lot of fans, a lot of brothers. I just hope you understand what you mean to me, what you and your work mean to the culture, what you guys mean, what you mean to so many people. And like, I just want you to like receive this bouquet of flowers on behalf of the people like me who watch your stuff all the time and kind of like take it for granted because you're just in so many good things. It's like, damn, Wood Harris in that too. Damn, Wood Harris in that. Like, it's just, and you as a kid say, you don't miss. Wood Harris don't miss. Thank you for being so gracious with your time. This has been such a pleasure and such an honor. Brother, keep going.
Thank you, man.
Keep doing your thing. Thank you.
Listen, man, I definitely want that yellow T-shirt. Let me see which T-shirts I want that.
I got them all. I got them all right here.
Bro, I gotta get that yellow joint, bro. I need that.
The Orlando
strip club one. Yeah, most people don't even know that. The fact that you have that is unbelievable. Like, yeah, I need that one in my life, bro.
I got you, brother.
Bro. Unreal.
Like, I got you. Yeah. I got more. I got more. Yeah. I can find some more. I can find some more for you. Anything for you. The least I can do.
Whatever you think is great, but that yellow one for sure, bro. That yellow one is fresh. Or at least let me know where I can get it, because that's just fresh. All right.
Well, we're going to wrap this recording up, and we're going to chop it up offline a little bit about that. But thank you so much. Wood Harris, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, brother.
All right, bro. All right. Peace.